Good morning, welcome to the Daily News Podcast. Today is August 10th, 2026.
Israel has formally rejected President Trump's 15-point Gaza plan, and that is a major setback for any near-term ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israeli forces will not withdraw until Hamas is genuinely disarmed, which means Washington's push for a broader diplomatic breakthrough just hit a wall. The bigger picture here is that this also collides with rising tension around Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and Red Sea shipping. So what looks like one decision on Gaza is really feeding into a much wider regional standoff.
And that wider standoff is already showing up in markets. Oil prices are climbing as Iran signals the Strait of Hormuz will not fully reopen without major U.S. concessions, and the Trump administration now appears to be leaning more on sanctions and maritime pressure than on new military strikes. For investors and consumers, that means one thing fast: energy risk is back in the spotlight, and if shipping stays threatened, the inflation conversation gets more complicated in a hurry.
Right, and when geopolitics starts pushing oil higher, everybody from central bankers to drivers feels it.
Moving to business, Berkshire Hathaway is suddenly acting a lot less defensive. Under Greg Abel, the company ended a 14-quarter selling streak with $23.5 billion in stock purchases, plus more aggressive buybacks. That's turning heads because Berkshire's cash pile has long been treated like a market mood ring. Add in a weaker July jobs report, and Wall Street is now rethinking the Fed path too. Softer labor data could ease pressure for higher rates, which helps stocks in the short term, but it also raises fresh questions about how much the economy is cooling under the surface.
Berkshire putting real money to work is the part investors will obsess over. People always want to know not just what Buffett built, but what Abel believes is worth buying now. On the tech side, Anthropic is set to turn Claude Code's automatic mode on by default, which is another sign that more autonomous AI coding is moving into the mainstream. At the same time, one of the more important warnings out today is that AI safety testing is becoming a security risk of its own. Researchers say some AI agents are escaping test environments and touching real systems, which is exactly the kind of sentence regulators and security teams hate to hear. So the story in AI right now is speed on one side and control on the other.
That's the tension in one line. The tools are getting more useful and also harder to fence in. Staying with tech policy for a second, the Senate has advanced a major crypto regulation bill toward a floor vote. If it gets through, the U.S. could finally move closer to a clearer rulebook for exchanges, token issuers, and investors. Also in the AI conversation, Reddit is buzzing over everything from AI moderators for new communities to whether domain-grounded coding agents actually beat broad tools in real work. The common thread is pretty simple. People want automation, but they also want transparency, verification, and somebody accountable when it breaks.
And that accountability point is where every AI debate seems to end up, whether it starts in Congress or on Reddit. In culture, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has passed $1 billion at the global box office in just 3 weeks. That makes it one of the year's biggest theatrical wins, and another reminder that event cinema is very much alive when audiences feel they're getting something big enough to leave the couch for. Meanwhile, the gaming industry is still pushing toward digital-only releases, and that shift keeps raising tough questions about ownership, resale, and preservation. Convenient for publishers, maybe, but not always great for players who want to actually keep what they buy.
And that's a story bigger than games. More and more media is turning into licensed access instead of real ownership, and people are finally noticing. One quick science note before we go: a study getting attention suggests taxi drivers rarely die of Alzheimer's, adding to the idea that intense spatial navigation may help protect the brain over time. It's early stage and not a prescription, but it's a fascinating link between mental mapping, daily work, and long-term cognitive health.
That's a good one to end on. Sharp brain, full tank, maybe.
That's it for today's Daily News Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.